explain Bitcoin for us? I mean, there are some people out there who they don't understand what Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
I went to the florist the other day, and the woman said to me, "My son is loving Bitcoin. He's making all this money. I don't know what it is, but." So tell us why you initially got into this business and what Bitcoin is.
So we think Bitcoin is gold 2.0. It's a store of value. So today it's about a $300 billion market cap. Gold is at 6 trillion. So we think it could very well go up another 20 times from today. We've been saying this since when Bitcoin was a $1 billion market cap. We've been in Bitcoin for about 5 years. It's grown about 300 times to this point. So we think it's definitely realistic that it could grow and disrupt gold and maybe even beyond that.
So you think that it could actually replace gold as a safe haven or as a hedge?
As a store of value and a hedge, all those things that gold provides in a portfolio. If you look at the characteristics and properties of gold, like scarceability, portability, divisibility, fungibility, Bitcoin equals or surpasses gold. So gold is scarce. Bitcoin is actually fixed at 21 million. Bitcoin's divisible to 100 million pieces. It's way more portable. It's a 24/7 market. I can send Bitcoin to you on your phone right now or anywhere around the world. It's very easy to move.
What happens when I want to get out, when I want to cash in my Bitcoins and I want dollars?
Well, that's easy. You go to Gemini.com. We are a New York trust company. We've been building Gemini for 4 years so that you can go and sign up and buy and sell and store your Bitcoin in a safe, regulated manner. We are the same licensing structure that companies like State Street and Bank of New York started out as trust companies over 200 years ago. So we've taken sort of one of the oldest licensing regulatory frameworks and married it with one of the newest technologies in the world. It's not easy to do, but that's what we've been working on doing, and we think that's why SIBO was excited to work with us and price these Bitcoin futures with the Gemini price.
When I look at the dollar is backed by the full faith and trust of the U.S. government, the Treasury. What is Bitcoin backed by? Just Gemini.
So Bitcoin's, no. Gemini's a company on top of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's backed by cryptography, mathematics, and one of the largest computer networks in the world. The dollar being backed by the U.S. government, a lot of people would cynically say that's injecting counterparty risk. If a government's collapse, currencies or average lifespan is 27 years. Bitcoin's more like a gold. Gold's been around for thousands of years. So as long as this math, persists and the security of cryptography that's never been hacked on Bitcoin, and as long as the network and people continue to believe in it the same way they believe in United States as a country or gold as a commodity, then Bitcoin will have value. It's also open source and it can evolve and grow over time. So the Bitcoin, when we first got into Bitcoin, is a very different source code than today. Obviously the fundamentals and the rules are very similar. There's always been 21 million, it's fixed. Gold's not fixed. It's scarce. We find gold all the time, and people joke about how asteroids have gold, and eventually maybe someone will Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos will find gold up there. Bitcoin's actually fixed. So I don't think you have to totally understand Bitcoin to use it, to buy it and invest in it in an asset class. Similar to most people don't understand how email works, but they use it and they get the benefits of email. So, we've been learning for the past 5 years and we'll continue to learn about Bitcoin. But I think the easiest way to think about Bitcoin is really to analogize it to gold. That's a very good framework of thinking about it.
Do you think Bitcoin will be disruptive in that way? I mean, now it's a speculative currency. Will it be something that will be what normal consumers will use and will disrupt the banking industry?
My opinion of Bitcoin is that, I think Bitcoin is probably a good thing, but it's essentially, its main thing will be, this will probably get quoted here and there, but I think it's primarily going to be a means of doing illegal transactions. But that's not necessarily entirely bad. It's not, some things maybe shouldn't be illegal. But
the combination of Silk Road and Bitcoin will save us?
Well, it will be useful for legal and illegal transactions. Otherwise, it would have no value as a use for a legal transaction, because you have to have a legal to illegal bridge I don't own any Bitcoin.
About Bitcoin.
Okay.
Bitcoin, people say the same thing. It's a store of value. You've got to have it diversified. The dollar's not safe.
There are two purposes of a currency. Is it a medium of exchange? And is it a storehold of wealth? Those are the basic ingredients. Bitcoin is not an effective medium of exchange by and large. And if I have a Bitcoin, I want to go buy things. It's not easy to buy things with the Bitcoin. And in terms of a storehold of wealth more reflects, like gold, more reflects the opposite of what money is doing, right? And so you look at it, it's a storehold of wealth. Bitcoin is a speculative bubble, right? Its price is like a greater fool theory in terms of its price. If you say, what is its intrinsic value? If Bitcoin was made into a more effective medium of exchange, and also operated in terms of a storehold of wealth, not of the reflection of that volatility, it would be a viable instrument. It is, to me, a vehicle for speculation that's attracting people in, and it has all the classic ingredients of a bubble. People leveraging themselves up, and it doesn't have that same intrinsic value. Even the privacy value, okay, is suspicious. In other words, it has a purpose to some extent. If you're living in a country and you don't know your currency, whether it's going to be good or not, and you might try to hold that. But that thing you're holding is running around like crazy for reasons that you don't understand, and then so it's not going to be an effective storehold of wealth, and the privacy will be stress tested. In other words, governments are examining who is operating in their own clever ways of what that, and so you can't even assume that so it's going to be a privacy vehicle. So I don't see the effectiveness of Bitcoin. I could see cyber currencies and so on, but cryptocurrencies, but this is not what we're having. It's a possibility that I think has been captured as a speculative vehicle that's in the middle of a bubble.
If you ask what are the things where there's, what's very charismatic and that people are not paying enough attention to, I think there are these pockets in biotech that I find like that. The one other one that I've been looking at a lot more have been the cryptocurrencies, and while I'm skeptical of most of them, I do think people are a little bit maybe underestimating Bitcoin specifically, because it's like a reserve form of money. It's like gold, and it's just a store of value. You don't actually need to use it to make payments. And it's been, there's about $70 billion worth of Bitcoin in the world. There's $9 trillion worth of gold. And if Bitcoin ends up being the cyber equivalent of gold, it has a great potential left. So it's a very different kind of thing from what people in Silicon Valley normally focus on. Companies, not algorithms or protocols. But this may be one exception that's very underestimated.
Well, people question it, and I know there's been so much debate about Bitcoin, but they question it because what is it based on? I mean, you see that the dollar is based on, the trust of the Treasury, the trust of the U.S. government. What is Bitcoin based on?
Well, the argument it's based on the security of the map, which tells you that it can never be diluted by a government. It can't be hacked. And it's a form of money that's absolutely that's secure in an absolute way. Of course, you could ask the same questions about gold. That's why I used the gold analogy. You could say, what is gold based on? Why is gold valuable?
Well, it's a tangible asset, though, gold. It's
a tangible asset, but it's also hard to mine. So if it was easy to mine gold, then it wouldn't be that valuable because we would just have way more gold. So Bitcoin is also, it's mineable like gold. It's hard to mine. It's actually harder to mine than gold. And so in that sense, it's more constrained. And so, yeah, there are a number of things that I think make it somewhat similar to gold. And then the question is just, does this become more widely?
And it's anonymous, right? I mean, that's one of the beauties of it. You can be anonymous using Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's half anonymous, half not. So it's again this intermediate thing. There's a question whether that's right or not, but it's a bearer instrument. So if you have the Bitcoin, if you know the key, you can go anywhere. Most of the time, most securities are registered, not bearer security. So it's a very unusual kind of a security.